What started as my first coffee shop turned into 10. So I switched to the Spark Cash Card from Capital One. I earn unlimited 2% cash back on every business purchase. Like this. That's thousands of dollars going back into my business. What's in your wallet?
Capital One Bank USA N.A.
More power, Rabbit.
Ah, God, sorry. Like, I couldn't hear it this time. That's so weird. Anyway, my apologies for that gaffe, everybody. Welcome to Damn You Hollywood, where a couple of sad, lonely, depressed. No, wait, that's just me. Overweight family men. No, that's Mark.
Aw.
Two guys with nothing better to do on a Tuesday evening get together and talk about movies and how much critics suck at their job. Because boy, do they suck. I'm Robert Winfree. I'm your host for this evening. I would be the sad, lonely, depressed one. Here with me to keep me sane and to keep me honest and to keep me from deviating too much from what I should be doing here is Mark Radulich. Mark, how are you?
Apparently I'm fat. Thanks, jerk. No, I'm doing just fine.
You realize you just opened yourself up for the Peter Griffin joke, right?
you have your own orbit.
I'm doing. That would be the one.
I'm doing good. I have discovered a new love in my life, and that is watching movies through my daughter's eyes. You know, she's so sensitive, and I don't want to use the word innocent because I feel like that I'm putting her up on some sort of weird pedestal. But it's
innocent in the traditional sense of the word. This is all new to her.
Right, and so, you know, when you have people deeply cynical as us who've watched as many movies as we are, as deeply jaded as we are, to see somebody react the way she does to things, I find myself enjoying movies on a whole new level all over again. And, you know, and it's funny, I'm going to link two things that seemingly don't have a lot to do with each other, but they do in retrospect. I was listening to the Midnight Edge guys talk about why Star Wars is failing, and I don't want to get into a debate over the success or failure of Lucasfilm under Disney. That's a whole other podcast. But their contention...
Which we've had, actually.
Yeah, which we have had. But, and I did bring this up to a degree before, but their contention was that Lucasfilm is struggling to find an audience outside of the novelty event films, the early stages of this renaissance, and now they're kind of diving into a slump. And again, I don't want to have the argument, but one of the things that the guy said was that the movie franchise right now that's most capturing the imagination of children, that's got all the excitement and drama and the thing that really speaks to the kids of today is the Marvel franchise. And I wrestled with that for a while, and then I thought about for a while there was a tendency on YouTube to record kids' first reaction to finding out Darth Vader. Spoilers: Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father. And I lived for wanting to do that with my kids. I was like, I gotta have this moment. Well, I can't get either of my kids to really buy into Star Wars past they like a lightsaber here or a thing there. I've never gotten either one of them to sit down for any great length of time to watch Clone Wars or Rebels. Lily's maybe about a film and a half into the Star Wars franchise before she's tapped out. But Lily, by the same token, Lily has watched a whole bunch of the Marvel movies with me. She's gone to see a couple of them in the theaters. And Infinity War just became available as of tonight's recording, and I insisted that I watch it tonight when I got home from work. And I had Lily watch it with me. And I turned to her as after Thanos snapped his fingers. I turned to watch her reaction, and there was a genuine sense of fear and suspense. It's that same reaction everyone looks for in their kids when Darth Vader says, "Luke, I am your father," is the exact same reaction I got from Lily when the heroes turned to dust. And we both had a good cry over Spider-Man.
That's such a great... Oh, God. I accept your daughter crying over Spider-Man because she's a small child easily manipulated on the emotional side of things. You have no excuse.
We have been over this. I'm not defending myself again.
We have. That's because you're indefensible. It's okay.
Okay. For anyone wanting to know what my perfectly plausible rationale for why I break down every time Spider-Man dies in that movie, you can check out our Infinity War review. That being said, this is my new favorite thing.
You can also hear me say I wanted Thanos to kill more of the heroes.
Yes, you can hear more of Robert's...
actual thing I said. I wanted him to kill at least one more before...
unquenchable bloodlust.
Before the end. My bloodlust is totally quenchable. It's just high.
But what does that have to do with the price of tea in China? Well, I brought my daughter to go see Mission Impossible Fallout, and as we get into the review, I'll talk about that experience. But this is my new favorite thing. I want to bring her to as many movies with me as possible and just watch her reactions. Like, I was flipping through the iTunes movie catalog, to see what was cheap, and it had to be two criteria: cheap and something I want to see her reaction to. Like, I can't wait to show her Flash Gordon, especially when the one guy sticks his hand in the tree and he gets zapped by the tree scorpion thing.
There's absolutely no way she sits through Flash Gordon. No way.
But out of boredom or running in fear, because some of that movie gets going to be a little intense.
Pick one.
Listen, my wife actually pointed out to me. She was like, "Hey, did you know that The Wrath of Khan was back in theaters?" And I said, "Yeah, it's a fandom event." And she was like, "You should take Lily." And I'm like, "I don't think Lily's getting through The Wrath of Khan just yet. Why don't we wait until she's in double digits before I have to sit her down and sit her down with any of the original Star Trek movies." Good grief! I'm glad. I'm at this point. I'm just happy she can get through the Avengers.
It is a long movie. Then again, so's this one.
Mission Impossible Fallout. Yes, let's talk about that, and I can get to my daughter's reaction to it, because God knows I don't have a whole lot to say.
Yeah. All right. This is the part of the movie or the review where I tell you all what happens, and you have all been duly warned that I'm going to spoil everything. All right. Mark, I do have to request that if you're going to keep track of my 3 strikes, I want you to have a softer call on these ones, because I've got a few.
All right, listen. Let's just stop right there. Okay? Stop right there. Right. I want to know right now, before we go any further, do you love me? Listen to me now. if this is going to be a lot of Mr. Wizard, you
No.
have to save your
Absolutely
Mr. Wizard
not.
stuff till later. You cannot.
No, in 100% agreement. And to be fair, there's legitimately only one sequence that I'm going to complain about that doesn't work that way. Because all of these movies are predicated on stupidity that doesn't work that way. So there's only so much reasoned criticism that can be levied at a franchise whose sole purpose is, hey, none of this works this way. Come watch it work in Fantasyland.
Okay. I mean,
That's not
as long as you're not going to stop every 6 seconds to explain science, I'm willing to give you a little bit of rope. But, I'm watching you closely,
only to hang
Winfree.
myself with, but I understand.
Yes, indeed. All right.
Okay.
I'm watching you. Go.
So we open with the prophetic visions of Ethan Hunt, wherein he is now somehow able to receive messages from on high about the future, and knows that all of these terrible people that he's helped put away are now going to converge on him again and threaten the world with nuclear catastrophe. Why he has prophetic visions, we don't know, and is never actually addressed. But he has them now, so good for him. The actual mission at hand when he wakes from this prophetic vision involves him obtaining plutonium from the disciples of, if you actually remember this character, you get a Cookie Solomon Lane, who was, for those of you who remember these types of things, the evil version of Steve Jobs that they put forward in Mission Impossible Syndicate. He showed up, he wore a turtleneck, he looked quasi-intimidating. It was a good time was had, in theory. Now, the remnants of his organization are still alive and kicking and causing havoc, and they've released smallpox onto the world. And really, that's just the dumbest thing. It is just the dumbest thing. And I'll save that because that gets a little bit into Mr. Wizard territory. But now they also have plutonium, so Ethan Hunt and his group are tasked with obtaining said plutonium. I mean, really, the nuclear stockpile in this fictional world is just horribly, horribly mismanaged. Which they do. They get to the point where, hey, we've got it, but then somebody puts a gun to Ving Rhames' head and says, give us the plutonium or we'll blow his head off. And Ving Rhames, to his credit, actually says, dude, I'm not worth it. In direct contradiction of his wishes, Ethan Hunt saves him, loses the plutonium. No one's happy about this, as they shouldn't be. So the CIA decides to intervene and send along Henry Cavill, with his mustache intact this time, to shadow the IMF forces so that, because, hey, you guys proved you suck at this, so he's going to make sure that you don't screw it up. Which leads to a Halo jump into Paris to meet with a broker who has access to the plutonium, which this is overly convoluted. I'm well aware. Bear with me. Ethan winds up impersonating a character who is someone who is a disciple of Solomon Lane's, to gain access to the plutonium. Turns out the person selling the plutonium wants Solomon released from prison, not actual money. So they break him out, much to the consternation of all parties involved. Try to trade him, only to find out that another character from past movies who you may or may not remember, Ethan's new love interest, since they arbitrarily decided that him and Michelle Moynihan were not going to be a thing anymore, is now trying to kill Solomon because the British government wants her to, so she doesn't have to be running for the rest of her life, despite it's a bit much, but that's her motivation for trying to kill this guy. So they dodge her, they dodge the broker's men, who, again, want things for reasons not really specified.
Things for reasons and chicks for
Mark,
free, I
you are
believe is how the
free
song
to
goes.
You are free to correct me about any of this once I'm done. I am
No,
happy to be corrected.
You're doing okay so far. I mean, I had a minor quibble with the way you described the thing. They couldn't get the actress back or whatever the case was, but yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Feel free to, again, you can bring that up in a bit. While attempting to trade Solomon Lane for the plutonium, everything goes sideways, and all of the metaphorical twists hit the fan at the same time. Henry Cavill's actually the guy they've been looking for, who's working with Lane, which they reveal via the classic Mission Impossible face mask reveal. Alec Baldwin shows up for no discernible reason other than he wants to bring in Ethan himself after Ethan was framed by Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill is exposed as a duplicitous bastard, but really he's in the intelligence community. Like this should be an assumed fact at this point, but for some reason it still shocks people. So the CIA tries to bring everyone in. Henry Cavill was loosely prepared for this contingency. Gunfights ensues. Solomon and Henry Cavill escape. They threaten Michelle Moynihan's character. Ethan tracks them to the middle of nowhere, on the borders of India, Pakistan, and China, in the Hindu Kush mountain range, give or take. And I can't believe I actually remembered the name of that mountain range off the top of my head, so yay me. Craziness ensues as they try to stop the bombs that have been set up from actually going off. There's a fight, there's a helicopter chase, there's another fight. The IMF, by the skin of their teeth at the last moment, once again save the day and resume being superheroes without actually being superheroes going forward. Okay, is there anything I left out that you would like to touch on? Anything you'd like to take issue with? Sorry. As far as the wrap-up goes, I forgot to mention, despite her express mission being to kill Solomon Lane, when presented with the opportunity to kill this character, female character, Ilsa something or other I seem to recall, chooses instead not to kill him, because we can't have someone whose face we can actually see die on camera in this franchise. And hands him back over to the British, who I assume just execute him because that's literally what they wanted. And the IMF, again, continues to exist. Somehow this whole convoluted mess has restored the faith of the CIA director in the existence of the IMF forces, which baffles me as a complete nonsensical character turn. And Michelle Moynihan, it turns out, has moved on with her life from Tom Cruise, which, good. We should all move on from Tom Cruise at this point. He's 5'4" and pushing 60. I can only strain my credulity so much as it pertains to the career of Tom Cruise at this point, guys. And he then presumably moves on towards a future relationship with Elsa. Again, the team all survives. They can resume saving the world in horribly written, convoluted fashion while having their plot armor protect them from falling helicopters. And I believe essentially that's it. So again, anything I left out, anything you want to touch on, by all means, do so. I hate the writing of this movie. I just hate it.
All right. I mean, I don't have a whole lot to add as far as the plot synopsis goes. Let me say, I was talking to Robert before we started the show tonight, and I said, a little ways back, Sean and I did a Long Road to Ruin of the first 3 Mission Impossibles, probably when the last one came out. And it might have been well before that. Before I decided that everything had to synchronize with each other. And I remember the first one being extremely boring, but at least it was, I think, trying to be relatively faithful to the TV show.
I'll say this about the first one. The first one is very much an actual espionage thriller.
Yeah.
And if you're not, you have to go into it expecting that. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. But when you get that it really is kind of a throwback to the Cold War era spy films, it works much better.
Yeah. I remember the second one being really stupid, And
the second one is this. Honestly, the second one's my favorite just because it's so stupid, and I love John Woo movies partially because they're stupid.
Well, I think this is when they really started in with the, with the prestige stunt that that the whole film sort of is framed around.
I'd argue it was more 3 than 2, but
see, I don't remember 3 having like a super spectacular stunt to it. I remember Ghost Protocol being
and to be fair, the only thing anyone remembers about 3, and the only thing you should remember about 3, is the fact that Philip Seymour Hoffman was just better than that entire movie.
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say, I remember him being really memorable as a great villain, probably the only memorable villain in the entire series, and then
unequivocally.
And I remember a lot of it was dealing with computers and whatnot. And I remember the big stunt now. The big stunt is him hanging off of something. Where
he does that big like fulcrum leap between 2 towers.
In any case,
in the sky in China.
So that being said, these all kind of started to become the Tom Cruise stunt show, and I'm not interested in that. But I go see them because these are big franchise movies, and that's the name of the show. Is damn you, Hollywood.
I am waiting for you to be hoisted with your own petard on one of these days. One of these days you're going to put something on here that is so bad even you can't defend it, and you have to go, boy, this sucks. Robert, I'm sorry I made you suffer.
So, I mean, going into it, I didn't have I figured I would enjoy the stunts, just kind of turn my brain off, kind of watch Tom Cruise be thrown about. And that would be the end of it. And I remember the last one that we talked about, the bit where he nearly drowns. I at least thought was interesting, but that's all I can remember about that movie is Tom Cruise almost drowned.
Hang on, which one was the last one?
Who knows? Mission Impossible. Tom Cruise hangs from a plane.
No, he's done that in all of them. That's not actually descriptive
This was
enough.
the one where the plane took off though, and he was hanging on the wing.
Oh, hang on.
Anyway,
Rogue Nation. Rogue Nation was the last one. Okay.
Yeah, Rogue Nation. All right. So the point of me saying all this is,
he hangs onto the plane as it takes off. It's
right.
Profoundly stupid.
So the point of me bringing
I might have been confusing the order of some of these actually. Now that I'm actually looking at the franchise, but
there's only 6 of them. I don't know how you can fuck the order up of these, but.
Because Ghost Protocol and Rogue Nation could be transposed and no one would notice or care.
Except that I've now said Ghost Protocol was the third one like 5 fucking times.
Ghost Protocol's the 4th one.
No, it's the 3rd one.
No, 4th. Suck it. There's Mission Impossible, Mission Impossible 2, Mission Impossible 3, and then Ghost Protocol.
No.
Yes, look it up. I am not joking about this.
And
you literally just proved my point.
Oh, you're right.
Told you. Why would I lie about this?
Yeah, Mission Impossible 2, Mission Impossible 3. I don't remember Mission Impossible 3 at all then.
No, 3 is literally just Philip Seymour Hoffman and like the it's not even explained. They have this MacGuffin that he wants. That is literally just a MacGuffin. It's an excuse for Philip Seymour Hoffman to be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's all there is to that. Ghost Protocol was Michael Nyqvist as the disillusioned, and tell me if you've heard this one before, disillusioned Nordic, I believe he was Swedish, nuclear tactician / physicist who decided that he wanted to blow up a nuclear bomb to remind everyone of how terrible things are, because that's literally the same plot as Mission Impossible Fallout.
Okay, then the one I really liked was Mission Impossible 3, and I don't remember ever actually talking about Ghost Protocol. Wow. Okay.
Did he almost... I don't remember him almost drowning in 3.
No, he almost... Oh my god. He almost drowns in Rogue Nation.
He might. And, guys, take it for... This is all the proof you need about how stupid and repetitive this franchise is.
Yeah, without having freshly watched them, these are all, except for maybe the first one, these are all kind of interchangeable. I know one of them he's like rock climbing to Metallica, and
that's 2.
And he has long hair. That's about all I remember of 2.
Yeah, that's Mission Impossible 2, which again, again, my personal favorite. There's a couple of things I really like about it, but you have to like John Woo movies to like that one.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, the point being, for the 88th time, that obviously these are all interchangeable to me. These are all just kind of stunt movies, and I don't really find them that interesting. And I find myself a lot of times going, so the DEA knew the FBI was setting up the CIA.
With the NSA.
With the NSA,
it's
yeah.
so stupid.
And this one is definitely guilty of all of those things. So there's nothing new under the hood in this movie. It is literally the exact same movie as all the other ones. There was nothing really about it. I mean, normally I'm the one that's like, well, yeah, but you've got relationships. I mean, I defended with my last dying breath Ant-Man and the Wasp, based on the relationships in those movies and the performances or whatever. This one, I honestly, if you spun me around and put this on, I couldn't tell you which movie this was. Like, I can't tell you the difference between any of these Mission Impossible movies. They're all the same fucking movie. There's just a big giant stunt in every single one of them. And I can't place the stunt to the movies without studying them. So let me tell you instead about how I had my initial plan was to go Friday night to go see this. I usually, my wife and the kids do their own thing. You either have dinner with my mother-in-law or they just kind of have, by the end of the week, my wife's patience with life is just about shot. So a lot of times it's McDonald's and go to everyone's separate corner. And I come home and the house is a mess and the TVs are on and everyone's asleep. Or not. That's how Fridays usually go. And so I use that time to go to the movies. My daughter, for whatever the reasons are, has become like super... I don't want to use the word clingy, but she has been expressing...
Use the word. Use the word, Mark. Just admit it.
I don't know. I see that's something. I don't know if it is clinginess, though. All I know is that she made it a point to say that I haven't been spending enough. Like, my wife doesn't say this stuff to me, but my daughter made it a point to say, "You're not spending enough time with me. You need to spend more time with me. I miss you." And you're
at which
always...
point I assume your wife goes, "You're not spending enough time with your daughter. She misses you. Get out of the house."
Something along those lines. So I said, okay, well, Daddy's... Now, I had no intention of bringing her to go see Mission Impossible. One, I didn't think she'd enjoy it. And two, it's questionable whether it's even appropriate for a 7-year-old.
I mean, that's a judgment call.
Yeah, but I mean, look, I've been watching rated R movies since
and to be fair, I did, off the air, encourage you to let your daughter see the Netflix Punisher series.
Yeah, you did. So, I mean, I've been watching rated R movies since I'm 5, so, I mean, it's all relative. But I also know how sensitive my daughter is, so I was like, meh, I don't know if this is really a great decision. But I said, you know what? I'm all for people making their own decisions here, So I said, look, I'll show you the trailer. If it's something you're interested in, I'll take you with me on Friday. I showed her the trailer, and she was like, if that's what you want, she's like the perfect girlfriend. She's like, well, if that's what you want to go see, I'll go see it with you. Terrific. So I ended up getting out of work really late, and I said, this isn't going to happen. So instead, we ended up going on Saturday. We made a big day of it. It was a whole daddy-daughter day. We did, we went to the comic book store, and she got some female-driven hero comics like Squirrel Girl and Silk. She's obsessed with Spider-Gwen right now, but they didn't have, again,
sorry.
You're not a 7-year-old girl.
No, but I shouldn't. Let me rephrase. My issues with Spider-Gwen are just... It's not actually with the character. It's with an extension of what that character kind of means. Like, I mean... And
I'm going to tell you the same thing I said on source material to the other guys. Again, you're not a 7-year-old girl. You didn't light up the way she did the first time she sees her in the trailer for Enter the Spider-Verse, okay? There's something about that character that speaks to a young girl and the confidence and all of that stuff. And
so when are you introducing her to Gwenpool?
I barely even know what a Gwenpool is. I mean, I get it, but like I've never read. I'm at least semi-aware of what Spider-Gwen. I'm probably gonna keep her away from the Gwenpool for a while. trying to get her into Captain Marvel, since my efforts to get her into Wonder Woman have utterly failed. It's just, I can't do it.
How about you just let? Why are you? Never mind. I don't want to get into that. The question I was about to ask would lead us into a different discussion that no one cares about. We have a stupid movie to review. Let's try to stay on topic.
Well, I can. Here's what I'll tell you. If she at any point picks up a male-driven hero comic, I would certainly not discourage her. The fact that my daughter is like uber feminist, I don't know how that happened either, because we kind of raised her gender neutral for the first few years, and
no.
And then she went fucking.
Sent her to public school. There's no hope after that.
Wow,
just none.
She went uber Disney princess there for a while, and she's never looked back. My daughter is all about girl power. So that being said,
fair enough.
She shows an interest. I try to feed that interest. So she likes female-driven superheroes. I try to point her to where those are. She walked out of Ant-Man and the Wasp, and she was like, meh for Ant-Man, the Wasp, A-okay. All right? That's what I'm talking about here.
I weep for the future.
We literally just sat through the Avengers, which is almost an entirely male-driven feature, and I can't, oh God, which chick did she, the first chick she sees is Gamora, and she's like, I like her. I'm like, terrific, Lily.
Good. This will end well for you as far as this movie goes.
Oh, she was so sad when Thanos threw her off a cliff.
I like Gamora. I will drink your tears in about 30 minutes.
Anywho, so the point of all this is we get to the theater, and I'm prepared to use my movie pass to pay for my ticket and then buy her own for Mission Impossible. And you ever see a monkey with a tool? That was me.
Yes.
Trying because they hadn't announced that they were going to start not allowing you to use movie pass for what's presumably going to be the number one feature of the weekend. They announced it after that. So I have no idea this is happening.
Of course, because that way they're going to make sure you pay for the month of August.
So I'm sitting there. We're standing outside the theater. The movie's starting momentarily, and I can't get my app to work because I don't realize it's not going to. Finally, I fucking gave up on this thing, but boy, was I mad that I had to pay full price for fucking Mission Impossible when the whole
the horror paying full price for a movie.
You have no idea. I pay for a subscription service. I expect to be able to use it.
You paid for a scam. You got scammed. Suck it up and move on.
But the thing of it is that it was only grayed out for AMC. Had I gone to the Goodrich, I would have been fine. But that's neither here nor there. We go to the movie. Here's what I love about Mission Impossible and my daughter. Okay, first of all, she was okay with most of the stunts. Most of the stunts were big enough and broad enough and silly enough that she was kind of wowed, like the bit where they're having the dogfight with the helicopters. She was like, "Oh, okay," and the car chase and everything. Which I'll come back to that in a second. But that's one of my criticisms.
Yeah,
of the movie.
We have things to talk about with that whole sequence. We really do.
But that whole sequence with the car chase and everything, she was entertained, and that works. But what's great about her is anytime there was tight gunplay, okay, anytime you had characters shooting at one another, she was burying her head in my arm the very first time, one of the first movies I took my wife to was The Dark Knight, and she spent most of that movie. Burying her face into my arm because it was too intense for her, and I wonder why my daughter's the way she is. So she spent any time characters were shooting at each other, she was burying her face in my arm. And I was like, God, to be that young and to be that sensitive again, to have this stuff be meaningful, because I'm so desensitized now that you could have a character shoot each other in the face and I don't blink anymore. So I truly do enjoy my daughter's reactions. It was more entertaining to me than the movie. But you came here to hear me actually talk about the movie, not about my parenting. So let me say this about Mission Impossible Schmagegi. Mission Impossible.
Mission Impossible, give us more money.
Mission Impossible. Every day is the same.
Boy, is it.
So we talked about a year or so ago about James Bond. We talked about Skyfall. We talked about the one that followed Skyfall. I was the author of all your pain, James.
Hang on. I now have to remember the name of this movie without looking it up.
Okay. So we just stop the whole show?
No, keep talking. I'm just going to rack my brain for a minute or two.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Spectre. Spectre.
There you go. We talked about those where I said they set up a world that is plausible, and then they have the character involved in implausible action to the point where the character should have died. And I think specifically about Skyfall, when the car flips over 87 times, I'm like, that motherfucker should have been dead. Okay, you can't.
That's not Skyfall.
That was Skyfall. Maybe
no. Skyfall's the one where he has the train come at him, and they spend the first third of the movie telling you about all the physical damage he suffered. The one where the car flips 87 times is actually the Casino Royale.
You're right.
And
okay,
he swerves hard to avoid the.
Okay,
place in the middle of the road.
I do remember complaining a lot about that, though.
This is why I'm here, guys.
Anyway, so that part of Ghost Protocol where the car flips over 70 times. Anyway, my point is that you know this is supposed to be like this and the Bourne movies and James Bond is supposed to be this gritty, realistic action, and then they hit people with cars at like 80 miles an hour, and nobody. And the worst that happened to Tom Cruise was he like at the end of the movie with the bit with the the crashing full on in a helicopter into a cliffside, then getting into a fist fight, and he broke a rib. He broke one rib. Okay, that was it. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen, and to the point where... No,
it's not. It's just the dumbest thing you'll acknowledge as being dumb.
It's so cartoonish. Like, I know it's like, aren't you the guy that sort of holds up Marvel movies as like the standard for action? Those people are fucking superheroes. Okay? Thor stood in the path of a sun and and was mildly burnt when it was all over.
He almost died. In fairness to that scene, they expressly almost killed him.
Yes, and then they gave him a magic hammer, which revived him, and he was good as new.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes,
Hella poked out his eye. He gets a robot eye, looks perfectly normal. There's not a problem in the world with it, because whatever. I mean, you know, they have Thanos who beat the shit out of the Hulk, but somehow or other Steve Rogers is able to catch his hand and really give him a fight. All right. Sure.
In fairness, don't mock that moment. All right.
No. I love that moment, but that's the point. That's supposed to be over the top fantasy. This is supposed to be gritty realism. The gritty realism is so stupid, it actually makes the fantasy look more realistic.
Also true. That's fair.
And that's
I completely
my point.
agree.
You know, you will believe a man can throw lightning. You know, after seeing Skyfall. So my other issue with Mission Impossible Fallout is I got lost about midway through the movie, and I'm not a dumb person. I'm like Robert likes to, Robert is 100% smarter than me, and he likes to call me dumb.
I am not 100% smarter than you, nor do I enjoy calling you stupid.
Sure you do.
You like stupid things. You acknowledge as such. So do I.
But I walk out of these movies and I have to go back to the Wikipedia page going, oh, that's what happened? Okay. I get, I'm watching this and I'm like, and I know at one point I nodded off, so maybe at the point that I nodded off, I may have missed a critical piece of information. Who knows?
No. There is no such thing as critical information to this plot. They bombard you with twists, turns so much that none of it actually means anything.
But yeah, at the point that Henry Cavill turned into, showed himself to end up being John Lark and he's the bad guy, I went, okay, whatever. I wasn't particularly attached to the guy who in the first 5 minutes of his appearance in the movie says, and if you go off the grid, I'm going to kill you. Nothing personal. Oh. Okay. Boy, I'm really surprised you turned out to be evil. You can't see it, but I just made the crusty face. So, this is what's passing for twists now in these movies is the guy who's set up to turns. That's supposed to be a surprise. The guy who's
expressly set up as the villain, who we see obviously setting up Tom Cruise at one point. I was waiting for the next nonsensical twist where Henry Cavill's a good guy. That's genuinely what I was waiting for, and I never got it.
Did you notice it? Were you like me in the commercial where it took several viewings of the trailer to realize that Henry Cavill and Tom Cruise weren't fighting each other in the bathroom; they were fighting a third person. Because the way in every other scene, we see them shooting each other. We see them fighting on the cliffside. Right. Like, they really gave gave that away right from the jump. But, I mean, I understand, like, the two of them it was a 2-on-1 fight against the Chinese Chinaman. But the way that they cut the commercial, they cut the Chinaman out of it. So all you see is Henry Cavill doing that really cool thing where he
puts his dukes up, and he takes the jacket off. He's like, all right, we're gonna play.
Right. They showed that, and then they show Tom Cruise doing something that looks like he's doing it to Henry fucking Cavill. So... Now,
to be fair, on second viewing of that trailer, it is painfully obvious there's at least one other person in that fight scene because. And maybe this is only obvious to me because I pay attention to what each character is wearing.
That's the thing. When I figured that out, I realized, oh, wait a minute, they're not fighting each other. Okay, got it. But I was talking to Robert. I was talking to you before we started the podcast officially. What really bugged me about that was I was looking forward to, you know me. I'm not into kung fu fighting. But I was
to the point where you're overtly racist about it, yes.
But I was really excited to see the bathroom, because between the sound editing and some of the visuals, I'm like, that looks like a particularly brutal fight. I'm really anxious to see what they won't show you in the trailer, which was nothing.
It turns out they showed you everything in the trailer.
I want to find the people who are cutting these trailers together and just be like, would you please stop? You're ruining everything. So, all in all, it's, I don't know.
I'm just waiting for, like, Godzilla King of the Monsters for the big reveal to be, hey, King Ghidorah's a thing. Like, no, shown in the trailer every single time. You can't pretend this is some big narrative surprise when you have literally given it away when you were promoting the movie. Like, you don't get to have that both ways.
Right. You go on YouTube. And one of the things that's very popular on YouTube now is people going back and showing you, the way the trailers used to be cut. Like, go back and watch the original New Hope trailer from the 70s.
They don't actually show you anything?
Right. They tell you, like, kind of what the movie's about, but they don't really show you all that much because they're trying to let you be surprised. And then you watch a trailer like Fallout, and you're like, well, there's nothing to be surprised by. Literally every bit of action that was in that movie, every surprise, every stunt is in the fucking trailer.
Yep.
I mean, let's say...
they're in Paris. They're getting into cars. I wonder if this is going to dovetail into that car chase scene they showed in the trailers. Oh, no, Tom Cruise is on a motorbike now. Oh, they showed him getting into this horrible car accident and walking away. I wonder how this is going to end.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are ever on a motorcycle and you hit a car that fast and you roll the way he did, you're break dead. Every bone in your body.
You're dead or you're in a coma. There's you do not get up and hobble away unless you have Tom Cruise level of plot armor.
Dust himself off and just strolls off camera. It's like, get the fuck out of here.
At least he has the good sense to at least limp a little.
Yeah, good sell job. Jesus Christ.
Oh God, it's so stupid.
So yeah, I'm and people have the audacity to say pro wrestling is fake. I'm sorry.
It is, but this is even dumber.
That's what I mean. Like, at least most of the guys in pro wrestling, if you throw someone off a cage, will sell that they're dead for a while. Not casually get up and skip off screen. Anywho, I want to give this a lower grade, but I feel like that's not fair.
Why? Why not?
Because it's not an incompetently made movie.
I would absolutely challenge that assertion.
Okay. I don't want to get into... We're getting along so well. I don't really necessarily want to get into an argument about this, but...
No screaming match, but I'm going to challenge your assertion.
Badly written, sure.
Yes.
Hollow, sure. I don't think it's filmed badly, and I don't think it's acted badly.
Wow, you thought it was acted?
Simon Pegg tries hard.
Yeah, sure he does. The man has, look. Simon Pegg tries, but he's there as the stupid comic relief.
Mm-hmm. What's your problem with Henry Cavill?
He's the only one I'll exempt from this, because he's got a decent enough screen presence to him, apart from the stupidity of he's a, assassin with this great reputation, but doesn't know that it's stupid to jump into a thunderstorm from a plane. Gets his butt kicked in a 2-on-1 fight when he's part of the 2. And despite actively mocking all the tropes of Mission Impossible, falls face first into one.
All right. What if I gave the movie a C? Is that a fair grade?
Sure.
All right. What's your problem with this movie, other than what we've already talked about?
Honestly, just the writing kills me. The way it is structured, I struggle to get beyond it. I really, really do. But if I can set that aside, I know people were saying Tom Cruise did a good acting job in this movie. I don't know what your basis for comparison is for that statement. That is just such a... I don't get it. I genuinely don't get it. He was on screen, he was Tom Cruise. Same Tom Cruise he's been in every other Mission Impossible movie. Same Tom Cruise he's been in basically every movie he's ever done. Not literally every movie, but basically. I hated the action because it just got so repetitive and drawn out to such a stupid degree. I mean, a perfect example of this is the whole Paris sequence. So, for those of you who haven't seen the movie, let me set this up. They are supposed to kill all the cops transporting Solomon Lane, and then free him. Ethan doesn't like this idea because I don't want to kill innocent people. I don't even really want to kill bad guys, especially those who have names. If you're a faceless goon, sure, I'll shoot you in the face 20 times. If you actually have a line of dialogue, I can't shoot you. For some reason, this upsets the natural order of things. I don't know. But he also objects to the killing of good guys because he is a good guy, so he comes up with this convoluted plan to, instead of, engage in a gunfight on the streets of Paris, get out of this relatively clean. And in fairness, that's part of his character. I mean, the line from Mission Impossible 2 about Ethan Hunt, from the villain in that is, Hunt, if memory serves, Hunt would rather engage in some acrobatic insanity before risking a single hair on a security guard's head. This has not changed about him at any point in the history of these films. It is still true. So, okay, fine. They then engage in a car chase to get away from the pursuing police in the delivery truck they were driving. Okay, I'm down. Good enough sequence. This then dovetails into a motorcycle chase sequence still through the streets of Paris that is set up because his bike won't actually start the first time he tries it, which would have been better if it had actively been sabotaged, but no, it was just a crappy BMW bike. Alright, so now we have another prolonged car chase through Paris, but now he's on a motorcycle instead of a car. Okay. That goes on forever. That he extricates himself from. He joins back up with his team. Oh, good, we can actually put this already overblown and overdrawn sequence behind us, only to be ambushed by a motorcycle rider with a machine gun. That he then engages in a chase, stop me if I've already said this, through the streets of Paris. That goes on for another 10 minutes. That's an exaggeration. It's at least another 2.5. It just feels like an eternity. before finally moving on from this. It's just badly structured. And I would argue at least a couple of these are badly shot. And for another example, the entire finishing sequence here, folks, is supposed to take place over the course of 15 minutes as the timer for the nuclear bombs counts down. This strays into Dragon Ball Z territory. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, allow me to provide the following example. At one point, Frieza tries to blow up Namek. He sends off a bunch of energy into the planet and says, "Oh, it's going to blow up. I've done this before," which he has. It's going to blow up in, I think it was 2 minutes. You have literally 2 minutes to evacuate what's left of the planet. There's nobody left alive except for a couple of the main characters. And get out before the planet explodes. And I'm going to tell you guys, there's at least 3 more 15-minute episodes before the planet explodes. And again, this whole sequence, okay, you have 15 minutes. 20 minutes later, the timer's actually starting to run down. It's drawn out, and again, it's stupid. There's only so many head fakes that you actually are going to fall for. The helicopter's hanging on by a thread. Physics doesn't work that way, but okay, I'll buy it for the sake of this. The helicopter breaks and starts sliding. It catches again. Oh, you're going to do this again, are you? They actually do it one more time. Then he breaks it off to kill Henry Cavill. After we've had at least 2 head fakes regarding the helicopters crashing and running into things. After the bombs have already we've played around with whether or not the bombs are going to go off. After we've played around with Solomon Lane is a rope master of epic proportions to physically tie up someone in that particular setup that quickly. After Simon Pegg wasting time going through a medical setup looking for nuclear material because it's actually used in so much. I mean, again, how many near falls are we going to get if you want another professional wrestling analog? How many times does Brock Lesnar have to F5 Roman Reigns before his kickouts become predictable and stupid? Because that's the territory we strayed into here. It was just badly constructed, badly set up. And I don't know how you're biting on these things. After a certain point, I just don't understand how much willful self-delusion goes into, oh no, Tom Cruise isn't going to scale the cliff in time.
Yeah.
There
was no dramatic tension for me there.
It occurs to me that there's actually a scene in the trailer that wasn't in the movie. That's as he's climbing up, just free climbing, something he's holding onto breaks and he falls back down a few feet. I was waiting for that as the timer's counting down and he's climbing up like, all right, he's going to lose his grip and then catch himself 20 feet lower and then set some kind of speed climbing record to get up there because we haven't had enough fake outs to this point.
Isn't that the bit where he's on the rope on the helicopter? It's got the ball at the end of it. Isn't that bit?
No, I swear, and I might be mistaken, but going off of my memory, in one of the trailers, he's just free climbing, and one of the rocks he grabs breaks off and he drops.
Okay. And
they apparently they just cut it because at some point someone realized the excess of all this.
I honestly doubt that.
So again, like I understand when a boom mic doesn't swing into any of the pictures, so good for you there. But no, I'm not even on board with really the stunts being all that great in this.
Yeah,
Oh, wait, I have to get my none of this works that way out of the way.
Oh, please.
I'm prepared to suspend a tremendous amount of my disbelief when it comes to these movies, because that's the whole point. The whole point is Tom Cruise being a 5'4" midget. Can I just say that after he had climbed up the rope the first time under the helicopter and he's trying to swing his leg over, I went, if you were about 3 inches taller, this wouldn't even be a problem, but now they're going to have you fall because LOL, you're short. And then bear in mind, he climbs back up, gets into the exact same position, and this time just angles himself better. So you're short and stupid now. My one that just, I couldn't do it. You guys went you went 4 bridges too far with this one, is the Halo jump into Paris. All right, first of all, Henry Cavill is apparently stupid enough to jump into a thunderstorm.
He's a man, a manly man.
And I like Henry Cavill. So they do this. This is profoundly stupid. They actually get struck by lightning and somehow survive. And bear in mind, when I say somehow survive, I don't mean that lightning instantly kills people. But the force and the currents that are generated, it does vary from bolt to bolt, but they actually get struck by lightning as they're falling through, as their impossibly futuristic heads-up display is counting them down. Tom Cruise then has to fly over with an unreasonable degree of control over his descent to catch the unconscious Henry Cavill, give him his oxygen, and then pull his chute at the last minute, only to have his what would be fatal fall somehow arrested by this inhumanly strong material that is in his parachute as it catches on the top of this building. Okay. I know that we all like to pretend that people falling can run into each other and be okay and catch each other. No movie that has ever shown this has done you any justice to how the world works. At that point, they're falling at darn near terminal velocity. If they bump into each other, the forces exchanged are so significant that they would break bones, give concussions, or kill you. It's profoundly dangerous for skydiving pairs to actually run into each other. If you're both in control and you can make a little circle with your hands, okay. But if you actually run into somebody like that, no. The force you're falling at, hitting them, you're breaking something. Then there's the fact that somehow, despite the absolutely abrupt arresting of his momentum by this parachute that would not have supported those forces, somehow it does. Okay, maybe they just have great material holding the chutes together. The force involved in that rapid a stop, it's going to break your spine. Somewhere along your back, there's a pressure, there's an angular pressure that just snap. You're done. It was just too much. That one was just too stupid and just flew in the face of entirely too much physics. I don't know why that was the one that I had to say, I only get one of these for this franchise. Because, again, I'm going to complain about Tom Cruise hanging from something, despite knowing exactly how much effort it takes to hold yourself on a rope that thickness? No, I can't complain about that. That's stupid. That's what this franchise is built on. That Halo jump scene? No. Line drawn. Too far. You're done. Too stupid. None of that works that way.
Okay. Are you good? You got that out of your system now?
If I only get one for a movie like this from this franchise, I have to use it.
No, look. I was quiet. I didn't interrupt you. I didn't stop you. I was like,
no, you're good. I appreciate it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your installment of That Doesn't Work That Way for this particular movie.
Okay. We can move on.
I think your C is generous, but yes, we can move on. I've said my piece on the craft of the film.
Okay. Then
let's talk about how no one cares about actual film craft anymore.
Well, before we do, since this movie made a decent amount of money, let's talk about it.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money.
Alrighty. Mission Impossible, on a budget of $178 million, is currently, according to the Wikipedia page, at $162.7 million. Of course, it was the number one movie of the weekend. The previous number one movie of the weekend was actually The Equalizer 2. Prior to that, Hotel Transylvania. Prior to that, Ant-Man and the Wasp. Jurassic World went 2 weeks running. Prior to that, it was The Incredibles, and then Ocean's 8. And then, believe it or not, for 2 weeks before that, Solo, a Star Wars story. I swear to God it was.
Which has now subsequently dropped off the top 10.
It sure has, Binky. All right, so Mission Impossible was your number one movie. Debuting at number 2. No, I'm sorry. Not debuting at number 2. Staying at number 2 for the second weekend in a row is Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, which I believe my wife is going to bring my daughter to this weekend. How about that? The Equalizer fell from 1 to 3. Hotel Transylvania fell from 3 to 4. And Teen Titans Go to the Movies, which we also saw on Sunday as a family, which, again, I am a 40-some-odd-year-old man, but I was probably laughing the hardest during Teen Titans Go to the Movies. I find that the people who work at Warner Brothers Animation on these DC films, between this and the Lego Batman, really know their parody.
No. Lego Batman was awful. It was just the dirt worst.
Ugh, you're the dirt worst. Anyway,
why do you always concede arguments to me like that?
Teen Titans Go to the Movies was very funny, and it debuted at number 5. Ant-Man and the Wasp fell from 4 to 6. Incredibles, which is the fourth movie this year to have reached $1 billion, as we said it would, fell from 5 to 7. Jurassic World 7 to 8. Skyscraper 6 to 9. The First Purge 8 to 10. And then rounding out the top 20 for the weekend were Unfriended, Sorry to Bother You, Blind Spotting, 8th Grade, 3 Identical Strangers, Won't You Be My Neighbor, Sicario, Ocean's 8, Uncle Drew, which Ronnie keeps telling me I should go see for some odd reason.
Do not
leave
listen
no
to
trace.
Ronnie Adams
I'm
about
not
this.
planning on it. All right, so that's that. Here's where we are for the year.
Since you told a fun story about seeing the movie, it should be noted, I actually saw Won't You Be My Neighbor immediately before going in to see Mission Impossible.
Okay.
I can tell you which one was superior in every way, shape, form, or fashion, and it wasn't the one with the hundreds of millions of dollars behind it.
There's a shock. So, just to tell you folks, here's where we are in the world of movies right now. Your top 5 movies around the world right now, 3 of them are strict comic book movies from the same comic book company, which is Marvel. Every single one of these is either a franchise and or sequel, and 3 out of the 5 are Disney, brought to you by some extension of the Disney Corporation. So you have Avengers at
which
$2
is about
billion.
to include all the Fox assets.
Yeah. Black Panther, Jurassic World, Incredibles 2, and Deadpool. That's where we are, folks. If you're wondering why the movie situations are, why we're in the situation that we're in, why the state of movies are what they are, your top 5 movies are comic book, dinosaurs, superheroes, comic book. Okay?
Yep. This is entirely a mess of our making, guys.
In 6th place is Ready Player One. Then we have 2 Chinese Chinaman movies, Operation Red Sea and Detective Chinatown 2. Rampage is hanging in there at number 9, and Ant-Man and the Wasp has supplanted Solo, a Star Wars story, taking the number 10 spot at almost $400 million. Solo is stalled at about $390 million.
I'm kind of surprised that there's a real chance Ant-Man and the Wasp won't surpass Rampage.
It might not, but again, I think Ant-Man and the Wasp, I can't. Box Office Mojo doesn't have their production budget. But again, we talked about this with Lucasfilm.
It's profitable. Its budget was somewhere between 162 and 195.
Okay. Yeah, look, not every single one of these was going to make $1 billion. That was the point that I was making with Lucasfilm.
I suppose my surprise is not that it's not going to do gangbusters. It's that Rampage, it might not beat Rampage, which is a little surprising. Again, that's the surprising thing to me. Not that it's not, making $900 million.
Here's the thing: people like monster movies. I'm not really surprised. They don't necessarily like Ant-Man.
Rampage is a lot of fun.
Yeah. 50 Shades
I had
Freed
fun
is
at it. I shouldn't say it's a lot of fun that way. I hate critics who do that. So I had a lot of fun at Rampage. It is designed to be a fun movie. And I'm just a little surprised Ant-Man and the Wasp might not surpass it.
So you want to know just where we are, the state of film studios, right? Your top 10 goes something like this: Disney, Universal, Disney, Fox, might as well be Disney, Warner Brothers, Disney, right? Do you know where Sony makes its first highest movie right now? I mean, we'll talk about this a little bit more.
Hotel Transylvania.
Close. We'll talk about this a little bit more when we do the summer wrap-up and we really get into the minutiae of some of these numbers. But right now, Sony's highest-grossing movie is the 14th highest-grossing movie of the year, and it's fucking Peter Rabbit.
I forgot that was a thing.
Okay? And this tells you how bad Universal's doing this year. Universal's best movie, Jurassic World, which is nothing to sneeze at, made over $1 billion. It's the third highest-grossing movie of the year so far. It doesn't have another entry in the top 20 until you get to number 12. And you want to know what that movie is? 50 Shades Freed. And soon to be bought by a bigger studio, probably Disney, is Paramount. who their highest grossing movie of the year comes in at number 15, and it's A Quiet Place.
Which is a great movie, incidentally.
Back to Sony for a moment, who's banking big on Venom, by the way. Another comic book movie.
Yeah,
another Marvel comic book movie.
In fairness, that ain't cutting it. All right, let's be very clear about this.
But
you're banking big on Venom. You're banking big on a Spider-Man villain/antihero with no connection to anything Spider-Man related to sell this thing. Like, no, guys, you're backing the wrong horse.
And Tom Hardy doing a weird voice.
I love Tom Hardy, but he's not gonna sell this thing.
So Sony's two best movies of the year so far are both animated features. You have or children's features. You have Peter Rabbit and then Hotel Transylvania. That's literally they're the only two entries in the top 20. I mean, Warner Brothers is doing better by volume. They're competitive, I think, with... Let me go to studios for a second. But I think they're competitive with Warner Brothers just by the fact that they've released more movies this year. I don't know what's going on with Universal. But yeah, they're Disney's in first place with 35.3% of the market share. Universal's in second place. Warner Brothers is in third. Fox is almost tied with Warner Brothers. And in a deep fucking fifth is Sony and then Paramount.
Yeah, Universal's released a fair amount. I mean, they've had a movie the last 3 weeks. They've had like 3 movies this month.
Well, here's the thing: Jurassic World is high up there. Then you have 50 Shades Freed. Then Mamma Mia, and 50 Shades Freed, had a very low budget and it made a shit ton of money for its low budget. So, Mamma Mia, which just came out, Insidious, which again. We're talking some of these are really low budget. I think where they fucked up is with...
They did Skyscraper. They did...
Pacific Rim they lost money on. That was a $150 million feature, and it only made it didn't even make $300 million. Came close, but they were banking on Pacific Rim, and that one went belly up. Skyscraper is just profitable. That was a $125 million feature, and they're at $250 million right now.
So over the next couple of weeks, they'll make whatever money they're going to make off of that.
Yeah. Let's look at some.
And Universal doesn't have another one until The House with a Clock in Its Walls comes out in September, which, again, in fairness, might do okay.
So on the other hand, then you have Insidious, which on a $10 million budget made $167 million. Boy, that's the ticket, man.
Look,
low budget features.
I forget which in particular horror franchise we were talking about on The Long Road to Ruin a few years ago, but Benjamin Cologne mentioned that the dirty little secret of Hollywood is that appropriately budgeted horror movies are what actually make studios run.
Blockers, which was the John Cena raunchy comedy, actually was profitable. On a $21 million budget, that made $93 million.
After that, Universal's going to have, Night School's nothing. They're banking on Kevin Hart's personality selling that. I can't say I like their chances. They have the First Man biography thing about Neil Armstrong. They have the Halloween remake, or sequel, whatever, which will probably do okay, actually, given when it comes out. Crappy comedy. They have the Grinch. They
well.
Illumination have, they have the Grinch coming out, which will probably do okay. Warner Brothers seems to be banking on Fantastic Beasts for later this year.
Yeah, but that'll make money. People fucking love Harry Potter.
Yep. There's the crappy Ralph sequel, along with the Creed sequel, along with the Robin Hood. Oh, God, that's a terrible stretch of movies.
And we're going to review them all. Like
we
Pokemon.
are not. No. We are not reviewing. I don't think we're reviewing any of those, are we?
Robin Hood, yes. Creed, yes.
Why? No. I'm not reviewing Creed. You have someone else.
I think either Cheesley and or.
We already set that up. We had previously established I am not reviewing Creed.
You're correct, but you are doing Robin Hood.
I thought we took that off.
No,
I know we were doing Ralph.
It moved, and I kept it on the schedule because I had stuff built around it.
It's still coming out the 21st.
Yeah, I understand that, but Jesus Christ! Welcome to Mark Plans a Podcast. I just moved it. That's all. There was
Right.
December's kind of a dead month until you get to Aquaman, and here's the problem.
No. Stop. December's a dead month. All right.
Well, it goes like this, okay, Mr. Dead Month. Wreck-It Ralph 2, which my kids can't wait for. Every time they see the trailer, they just
I hate
giddy.
that so much.
Well, we're reviewing that.
I've only seen like half of the first one and just couldn't stand it. It's just not. I don't like it. I just don't like it.
Okay, Creed 2, Robin Hood, and then Aquaman.
These things all come out the same day, but we're spacing out this one weekend's releases over the next 3 weeks.
That's correct. And then we're spacing out Aquaman and Bumblebee over 2 weeks. And actually, somewhere in here is Mary Poppins, but because I'm having to wait until January 5th to see it because it's my daughter's birthday, we're not doing that one until January 8th.
I thought we were just not doing that. Didn't we have this discussion last week when you said, we have to take some movies off the schedule? I said, axe Mary Poppins.
I said if we do. I said I wanted a rough list of ones you wouldn't miss if I have to use that date.
Please find something, some television studio. Give me some hope that I won't have to sit through that.
I don't know. Pray the Orville wraps up before January.
How about I pray that someone kills Seth MacFarlane so you wind up doing a retrospective on him? Will that work?
No.
If Seth MacFarlane dies between now and then, will you schedule a retrospective of his terrible career for that same weekend?
I'll tell you what. Here's what we did in January of this year, right? We did an on trial. We did a TV party for The Runaways, which was a Hulu series. We did a TV party for The Orville, which was Fox, and it had wrapped up by then. And then we did another TV party for Black Mirror Season 4. So here's what you need to hope for January of 2019. You need to hope that there's a bunch of TV shows that have wrapped and are, and set themselves up for me to be able to do in January, and then I'll cut Mary Poppins.
All right, terrible network television. You all heard that.
I mean, Teen Titans is supposed to debut on DC Universe sometime in the fall, which means it could conceivably wrap before January, and I'll take that date. I will absolutely knock Mary Poppins off the schedule and put Titans there instead.
God, why would you do that to yourself in either case? I genuinely don't understand what the impetus is that you have for, oh man, this looks terrible. I must talk about it.
I think you just answered your own question.
No. It looks terrible. How about I just pretend it doesn't exist and hope it goes away?
Because I don't stick my head in the sand and hope things go away. I confront them dead on.
But by confronting it dead on, you're only drawing more attention to it and perpetuating its existence.
Have you noticed? This isn't
one of those things. This isn't one of those things where if I pretend it's not there, it'll go away. This is literally market-driven economics, and pretending it's not there and not discussing it or patronizing it or supporting it is how you get them to go away.
Listen to me. There are a few legs that keep this network up, and one of those things is comic books. And from comic books, we get actual comic books, we get TV shows, and we get movies. So when you have a comic book TV show that comes out, it begs me, Robert Winfree, to review it. It challenges me. It calls to me.
It does none of those things.
It does.
All it does is appeal to your obligations.
I have to talk about Titans. I have to talk about how badly they costumed Starfire.
You really don't have to talk about it at all. You don't have to bring it up ever again.
I need an hour to discuss how bad that costume is.
No, you don't. All you have to do is say, this looks terrible, and never address it again.
You know, we just got on Spotify not that long ago. I feel like we owe it to our Spotify audience, our new friends on Spotify, to not spend the entire Mission Impossible review talking about other things I shouldn't review.
No, they should really know what they're getting into. Like, this is, for the record, this is not that uncommon, guys.
All right, are we ready to get to the main event of this? Fuck.
Yes. If you insist on all this dreck cluttering up my life schedule.
Well, as part of the money here, we always talk about, will this thing make money? It's already making money. Mission Impossible is already doing well. As far as what it's got to deal with, it's got to deal with Christopher Robin next week. Christopher Robin's going to do well as well.
Completely different audiences. It's fine.
Yeah, here's the problem. I think where they share the same audience is that, is people like me, people who have kids will go see Christopher Robin, but they're, without their children, the parents will go see Mission Impossible. So, will it have a steep decline? I don't think it's going to drop off the map or anything, but we'll get diminishing returns over the next month, because here we go. We've got Christopher Robin next week, again, which you cannot use your movie pass for. Just want to put that out there.
How... They didn't recast. Oh, I'm pissed at Christopher Robin now. I'm looking up the cast, and they have Brad Garrett as Eeyore. I'm like, how could you not get Peter Cullen back?
All right.
I am legitimately angry about this.
And then we end the summer here with The Meg, which is a giant shark movie, which I think is going to be really well.
Oh, it's going to be so bad. It's going to be so bad. I can't wait.
And then I know The Happy Time Murders comes out on August 24th. Now, we're not going to review it. Huh? What?
The Happy Time Murders is not a thing.
But it is, and people will go see it.
Not a thing. No one will see it.
Oh, it's going to do $1 billion.
Want to bet?
No, I'm not taking that bet.
I will bet you the totality of the 2019 schedule that I would get to rewrite that this thing does not make $1 billion.
Okay. And then in a couple of weeks...
I would bet you the entirety of the 2019 schedule this thing doesn't make $500 million.
Anywho. And then we have Predators coming up in September. God, the September movie schedule is so bad that there's literally one movie review that I've scheduled. Everything else is a TV party. Literally a TV party. We got one for Legion, Cloak and Dagger.
Hang on, actually, you keep talking. I'm going to mute myself for a second. That actually makes my life significantly easier in one respect.
Iron Fist and Ozark, season 2. Literally, and then there's one on trial. But I just find that hilarious that, like, September, we review more movies in February than we do September. It's really sad.
That is so profoundly sad, because I hate February movies.
But yeah, Legion, Barbed Wire, Cloak and Dagger, Iron Fist, and Ozark.
Thankfully, I'm only on one of those.
Yep. You get almost the entire month of September off, Lucky Duck.
I mean, and to be fair, you don't pay me. Consequently, you could not pay me to watch any of those other series.
But you're...
Incidentally, why am I suffering through Iron Fist Season 2?
Because you are.
All right. I will accept your logic for the time being.
All right. With that said, Mr. Winfree,
Bring it on.
I have questions that need answers.
Are you ready? No! I said, are you ready?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
I'm convinced that the people that reviewed this film and got it to a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes are getting something from the studio, because I can't believe some of these are people's
Mark,
real opinions.
We've gone over this. If you have to choose between conspiracy and incompetence, 90% of the time it's just incompetence. These people are just terrible.
Okay, let me read you a few of these, and you'll see why I think, no, I feel like some of this is payola. Lynette Rice of Black Girl Nerds. Fallout is sure to be one of the best films of the summer.
Shut up.
4.5 out of 5.
Not even the best film of the week.
Or of the franchise. Jesus.
I mean, there is no... I'm not entirely sure there's an appreciable metric that you can use to make this the best movie. It's not the best movie in Simon Pegg's career. It's not the best movie in Ving Rhames' career. It's not the best movie in Alec Baldwin's career, despite that being a large dumpster fire. It's not the best movie in Henry Cavill's film career, despite that being both new and featuring some yeesh.
So I'm going to read you this next one, but I'm honestly afraid it might kill you.
Go for it.
I don't know. Are you in No, I need you to sign a release saying that you won't sue me when you suffer an aneurysm after I read this to you.
I struggle to understand if it's actually that bad, because I as much as I have suffered through this segment, it's going to take something pretty substantial to give me a greater physical reaction than the ones I've already had.
Louis Rugendijk of Sydney Morning Herald. Cruise will never win an Oscar for playing Hunt, but what he does in Mission Impossible Fallout is surely at least as taxing as, say, Leonardo DiCaprio's role in The Revenant.
Oh, piss right off.
With the added obligation of making it look fun.
No. Shut up. I
told you that was bad.
I don't know who forgot to give you your medication this morning. Or if you just subscribe to the Bernie Sanders view of life and you got tapioca instead of chocolate pudding and you're now just inconsolable. How in the world do you even begin to approximate Leonardo DiCaprio actually stuffing himself naked into a horse corpse with Tom Cruise hanging from wires? This is profoundly stupid.
Are you okay?
That boggles the mind. How does that person dress themselves?
How's your blood pressure? I worry about you.
I mean, I would encourage someone to throw, dead fish at this person, but I'm relatively sure they're already so mentally incapacitated they wouldn't be able to comprehend the cause and effect occurring around them for this.
I believe
my dog is smarter than that, for God's sake. My dog is capable of getting food off of the counter that you should not be able to reach. This guy equates Tom Cruise in this dog piss with Leonardo DiCaprio in The Revenant. I just don't know what to do with the world. Mark, I wanted them to nuke the world at the end of this movie just so that I wouldn't have to deal with this.
I told you it was bad.
That is so bad. That is so bad.
See,
That's indefensibly bad.
Like I said, this doesn't feel authentic. It's so bad.
No. This is a brain-damaged person. I don't know how. Probably trying to replicate one of the stunts that Tom Cruise did in this, only to discover that they don't have magical plot armor, but now they think, oh, this was great. Oh, just. And like the actor has anything to do with making these things fun. All right, let's be very clear about this. The fun, such as it exists in this movie, is wholly dependent on the structure and the narrative flow that the director gives it. Again, such as it is. Not on the fact that Tom Cruise looks like running into a car on a motorcycle traveling at least 30 miles an hour is somehow a great time had by all.
Susan Granger of SSG Syndicate. We hate you, Susan Granger. We hate you.
So much.
Thanks to charming, charismatic Tom Cruise. It's an
Shut
intense
up.
action-adventure thrill ride. This broad has been in love with Tom Cruise since Risky Business, and that's the level at which she reviews his films.
One has to assume. Like, that's all I can get. Like, this woman is just... She saw him shirtless in Top Gun and just went, I love this man, despite that film being blatantly homoerotic. I mean, they give them hand towels in the shower room. Like, really? They couldn't even afford full-length towels? No, because we must appeal to the... God, never mind. Not going to get into Top Gun. Whole other discussion. If you're so deeply and profoundly infatuated with Tom Cruise that you can't actually review his films appropriately, you need another job.
I'm going to read you these two back to back, and I'm honestly worried.
This setup never ends well for me. Just for the record, anytime Mark says I'm going to read these 2 or 3 in a row, that's my cue to like.
I'm
slam
honestly
my hand in a door.
I'm honestly worried this one's
pain.
going to make this is going to make your heart explode. Like, I'm reading these and I'm like, wow, I might kill you. I might kill you. Walter Chaw of Film Freak Central. Fallout is about a broken man with delusions of grandeur who moves away from a woman who sees salvation in him to a woman who doesn't. This is a good conversation to have. And Chris Evangelista of Slash Film follows it up with
You can't even read it. It's that bad.
A film, because I remember this conversation that we had about this particular film he's comparing it to.
Oh, joy.
A film so relentlessly entertaining that it might actually exhaust you. Believe the hype. This really is the best action movie since Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh, God. The balls on this guy to compare those two films. All right, let's start with the first one. Okay, let's genuinely start with the first one about how this is somehow actually a feminist piece about, or you know, this is actually like some thoughtful study about the importance of Tom Cruise's character moving away from a woman dependent on him for salvation towards a strong, independent woman who don't need no man except to help her defeat the villain who actually like tied her up and was going to kill her. No. Nobody thought that much about this thing. Not only does your assertion like fly in the face of all actual evidence related to this film, you've now put more thought into every bit of dialogue and plot than anyone who actually wrote the damn thing. Then to the other guy, since we're going to have that, since that's actually dovetails nicely, let's move that particular point from one of the most actually well-written films of the last 10 years in terms of getting across narrative without dialogue, in terms of visual storytelling, in terms of emotive storytelling, in Fury Road, to this slapdick nonsense that is Tom Cruise going, boy, I wonder what I can throw myself off of this time. They're not comparable. They're not comparable in any way. What in the world is this guy smoking? How much drugs did you do in the 60s? Did you have to take your screaming child out of the screening you were at? Did you fall asleep? Did you get paid off? None of this is not the rational world. Mark, these people don't live in it.
It only gets worse. believe it or
I'm
not.
sure. Believe me, it can always get worse. I know this.
Christopher McQuarrie of Cineview. Essentially perfect. 5 out of 5.
Oh. Wow. I mean, if you slept through half of it. If you took selective micro naps for about 20 to 30 minutes worth of this film's runtime, maybe. Anything beyond that, no.
These are so bad. Matt Brunson of Creative Loafing. We hate you, Matt Brunson. We hates you. The quibbles are minor when compared to the energy and exuberance flowing through the majority of the picture. Don't react to that one. I just hate the guy, and I needed to read that. I need to read these 2 in a row.
You're a moron.
There's 2 in a row here that go together. Okay. Al Alexander of the Patriot Ledger. Cruise is a modern-day Buster Keaton. Refusing
No, shut up. No! 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 That is the dumbest. He's a modern-day Buster Keaton. No!
I'm not done yet.
He's a genius. I resent that on behalf of the millions of people who are actively entertained by Buster Keaton.
Can I finish?
What the hell?
Can I finish, please? I said I was going to read 2 in a row. That's the first line of 1. Cruise is a modern-day Buster Keaton, refusing to give self-preservation a single thought. In return, you're in a blissful state of amazement, repeatedly asking yourself, how in the heck did they pull that off?
Why? It's still real to that guy.
and wait.
No, he's looking at these obviously CGI'd stunts. He's looking at stuff clearly performed by stunt doubles that is done with painstaking consideration to the safety of the multi-million-dollar star whose existence this entire franchise hinges on, and thinks, wow, he actually threw himself off a motorcycle. You're a moron!
Tim Brayton of Alternate
Paul
Endings.
Bearer died in a cement casket, killed by The Undertaker, too. What the hell?
Take a drink, everyone. One of the very best action epics ever made. And I suspect one of the best that will be made for an extremely long time to come.
Okay, this is not an epic. All right, let's start off there. Just because we have big helicopter shots of fancy scenery across multiple places does not make it an epic. That's them padding out runtime as Tom Cruise, the poor bastard, sprints across scene after scene after scene after scene, going, why didn't I write into my contract a stunt double for all the crappy running scenes? There's not even a close-up here. What am I doing with my life? Just no. No. How can you look at 2 + 2 and come up with banana?
Orlando Maldonado of Movie Network. Mission Impossible Fallout reaffirms Tom Cruise as the greatest action star in movie history.
No. Okay, I assume this is actually Fabio Maldonado and the brain damage has just caught up to him. Look, hang on. I mean this in all seriousness. Tom Cruise is one of the few actual bankable movie stars whose name will draw people. That's it. That is a legitimate point. But, I mean, do you not remember, A, the rest of this franchise that... I mean, A, this isn't that good. B, the rest of them are just... This guy is you, Mark, in the sense that, I remember half of these, and they were pretty darn good, and it turns out, no, you're remembering, small segments from 3 different ones instead of any actual movie in its entirety. I mean, what else are we glorifying in the career of Tom Cruise for him to say this? Oblivion, which is not good. I actually don't care for Edge of Tomorrow, but I understand I'm in the minority there. What are the crappy action... no! This is rather demonstrably false. I mean, at this point, it's probably Robert Downey Jr., in all honesty. Anyway.
Moving on. Sarah Knight Adamson of Sarah's Backstage Pass.
No, you're self-employed, you suck.
The stunts are reminiscent of Fast and Furious via Tokyo drifting cars. Has the feel of Mad Max.
No. Oh, God. Wait.
Can I finish this fucking sentence?
Sorry. Go ahead.
Has the feel of Mad Max while distinctly retaining its own identity with halo jumps and more.
No, God, No. How do you breathe on your own? This is it's got stunts reminiscent of Tokyo Drift. You mean first of all, I'm not in love with that particular entry into that franchise or that franchise generally, but the fact that Tom Cruise does legitimately have to drift one car in one shot of one abysmally long car chase sequence does not make it the equivalent of a movie whose only interesting factor is, hey, look at these cars go around tight corners for 90 minutes. It has nothing to do with the quality that is in Mad Max. I mean, for the love of all that's holy, do you actually want to compare the dialogue in these two films? Again, Mad Max, light on dialogue. This movie, heavy on dialogue that's overly reliant on terrible cliches. I mean, you actually have someone saying, make the call. I believe there's a give us the room line. These are not things anyone says in real life, ever. But you want to compare those two things, and then you watch that Halo jump sequence and for some reason aren't immediately reminded of the most recent Godzilla movie. Like, no, this retains its own identity. No, it just has Tom Cruise. That's its identity at this point. That's so stupid. Okay, that's actually a bit glib on my part. There are a few things that go into these movies that are uniquely theirs, such as terrible writing, overly convoluted plot, and at least one mask reveal per movie.
All right. Start to wrap this up here. Let's see if I get some of our
How
old
are these
favorites.
people employed? How? This boggles my mind.
Let's see if we can find some of our old favorites that we hate here.
Miles Teller's in the in that crappy Top Gun sequel, as though I needed another reason to think it was cursed.
Chris Stuckman of ChrisStuckman.com. We hate
You're
you.
self-employed, you suck.
He hates you, Chris Stuckman. Brilliant. You're constantly on edge.
No.
I was
Constantly
asleep.
on the edge of sleep.
Let's see. Anybody else good here?
I genuinely wonder who out there is so enthralled with these movies. I mean, your daughter was fine. She's what, 9?
7.
7. I knew that. Okay, a 7-year-old constantly engaged by this movie. Fair. 40-year-old self-employed man who professionally reviews movies. Why are you enthralled by this? I mean, and if I'm the only guy, fine. I've been the only guy. I've been the outlier. I'm okay with that. But I have to at least be able to see where you're coming from. Calling this movie brilliant just it diminishes the word.
All right. Let's Leonard Maltin.
Oh, this guy.
Tom
How
Cruise.
is he alive?
Tom Cruise is really good at running. This is what people refer to as I sleep in a drawer. This is what people refer to as perfect summer entertainment. Big, long, splashy, and overall fun.
Okay, Leonard Maltin at this point in his career is like one of the Eds from Ed, Edd and Eddy, and I'm not sure which one. I mean, that Tom Cruise is good at running. Well, duh. I mean, that's almost a non sequitur. If I hadn't actually made the same point about this movie, which in and of itself was almost a non sequitur because I was arguing with the structure, not his technique while trying to run. Which is, in fairness, I imagine if I actually watched all the running sequences from him in this movie, I could tell which ones were actually shot in order based on his running form. Like, no, he's actually really tired here. And then this was shot earlier because you can see how his knees are moving, but no. And look, here's the other thing. First of all, again, fun. You can't call a movie fun. You had fun with the movie, which is fair. If you were entertained by this, I've made jokes at your expense, but in all seriousness, Godspeed and party on. You enjoy what you enjoy. I may mock it. If you don't try to defend it as anything other than your enjoyment of it, I have no complaint with that. There are terrible movies that I enjoy, and I will never defend them as anything other than something I enjoy. But to say that we have now reached a point where overly long, simplistic yet needlessly convoluted, splashy, drawn-out action sequences are the quintessential summer entertainment deeply and profoundly troubles me.
Alrighty. I got any
Oh,
more
James
here.
McAvoy's in it, Chapter 2. As though I needed another reason to see it.
Alrighty, last one, and it's from
Oh, thankfully.
It's Kurt Loder, who hates everything, but loved this apparently. There's nothing to think about. You just set your mouth to agape and lean back.
Why is it, Mark, that we have now come to a point with some of these critics where they laud the mindless? We applaud stupidity.
Here's the
I
thing,
didn't have to think.
But they're not even
I'm sure
consistent
happy
with
about
that. Well, hang on, they're not even consistent with
I
that because there's plenty of like sugary nonsense that's out there. That's
They complain about being stupid.
Yeah, they're like, this is the dumbest thing ever. But apparently they all want to be invited to Tom Cruise's house so that he could talk to him about, religion or whatever. So they're all saying this movie is fucking amazing and comparing it to Mad Max. Look, I wasn't in love with Mad Max, but come on. Come on. Let's not be silly here.
I was, but...
Yeah, we talked about that. But again... But like, I cannot be in love with something and recognize that it's a it's a supremely well made movie. And again, I would not in any way compare fucking Fallout to Mission Impossible to Mad Max.
Except as an example of what not to do.
I wouldn't even compare it to Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. How do you like them apples?
You know what? Yeah, that's kind of fair. Even though I think Beyond Thunderdome sucks.
All right. So as we've said, next week we have Christopher Robin. The following week with the Meg. Then we have our summer wrap up, and then finally Robert gets a break for 3 weeks. You get a 3-week hiatus.
I'm about to have a 3-week hiatus from covering MMA too. I won't know what to do with myself.
Yep, and then you're back for the Predator, and then we'll do Iron Fist, you and I, and then you get a break for Ozark. And then comes October, where you're working every single week. Ha, 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 ha. We got Venom on the...
How is it that October became that packed?
We got Venom on the 9th. We got TV Party for Hannibal Season 2 on the 16th.
Okay.
We got Halloween.
That I will at least look forward to.
Yeah.
Halloween.
We got Halloween on the 23rd, and then you're off the following week because... where the Tuesday show is an on trial. So
okay.
Then in November, we got Voltron season 7 at your request. We got The Grinch. We got
my request. Bear in mind, no, hang on. Just in fairness, when he says at my request, it's that over the Nutcracker and the Four Realms.
That's
right.
right.
Not a choice for me.
The Grinch, Fantastic Beasts 2, Wreck-It Ralph 2. Shit. Yeah, you have like a long stretch of having to do movie reviews with me starting November 6th.
I'm. You know what? I'm actually okay with the majority of those.
So Voltron, The Grinch, Fantastic Beasts, Wreck-It Ralph.
Okay,
no, you get a break for Creed. You get 1 day off for Creed, then you're back for Robin Hood.
I'm desperately hoping something else shiny comes across your path to get you off of Robin Hood, because that looks so bad.
No, and then you're off the following week because we are doing an on trial for Jingle All the Way. But
really, wait, seriously, Jingle All the Way.
Yes.
Nice. I hate that movie.
When we get to Christmas and New Year's, it's going to be a little wacky because we're not going to work Christmas Day. My wife would kill me, but we are going to do Damn You Hollywood for Aquaman the day after December 26th, which is a Wednesday.
Come on, Mark, you saw the trailer. Save yourself and me.
Nope.
You have a chance to save us both.
Negative.
From that atrocity.
Absolutely.
You have the opportunity. You
I
now
will
have
not.
Actual evidence.
Nope.
Before, when it was just this thing out in the ether, there's an Aquaman movie. Like, well, okay, we suffer through some of these movies. Now there's a trailer that you can look at and go, you know what? I'm calling Uncle. This is it. I've had all I can take as far as these go. This is my point. I am saving myself. I am saving Robert. I am saving Robert's unborn children. I am saving my children from this psychological trauma I will inflict on them after being traumatized myself by this. I'm saving all of our listeners. I can be a hero. Mark, be a hero.
No.
Damn. I'm never going to have a better sales pitch than that.
You know, the whole time you were doing that, I'm just like, I just saw that there was an Aquaman Rage of Atlantis Lego movie. Maybe I should make him do that one instead. Like, give him a choice. Aquaman or Rage of Atlantis.
I will give myself food poisoning.
All right. So, if you could stop being an asshat for just 1 second. December 26th.
Giving you a chance to delve into real heroics, and you throw that back at me. Come on, man.
We're gonna do Aquaman on the 26th, and then New Year's Day, the evening of New Year's Day, we'll review Bumblebee. So it's really only one week where the damn you. It's the following year where they're all over the place because of the way the schedule is. But yeah, Aquaman will be at a rescheduled time of Wednesday instead of Tuesday, and there'll be no Metal Hammer of Doom that week, and then we're back on Tuesdays as of January 1st. We start 2018 with a Transformers review. How do you like them apples?
I will accept this movie if John Cena dies violently in it.
Terrific. All right. Meanwhile,
he's clearly the antagonist in this movie. Let's be clear about that. But
on the Source Material podcast, we looked at Scott Ian's penned Lobo: Highway to Hell. The artist of that graphic novel drew the whole fucking thing in crayon. It's terrible. Tomorrow night on the Metal Hammer of Doom, former Twisted Sister singer Dee Snider has a solo album out called For the Love of Metal, which we're going to review. And then Sean is going to join me for a TV party tonight as we discuss top 5 best season of television in the history of television, Glow Season 2.
Mark, it's not that good.
It's awesome. It was amazing.
It's not that good. It's really not.
It's incredible.
I don't know how much of what you're saying is gimmick. I need a non-gimmicked answer. Just 100% serious here. You genuinely do think that about this?
I really enjoyed it. Let's just put it that way.
Well, that's not the same thing.
Jesus. On the 5th of August, there'll be a Screaming Boy, which we're titling it The Day the Laughter Died. And myself, Ronnie Adams, and Alexis Haina will discuss the firing of James Gunn for tweets he tweeted 10 years ago.
God, that's so stupid. That is so profoundly stupid.
And then Sean will be back speaking...
it's not even like this is new. When he was hired for the first Guardians movie, he publicly addressed those things. Like, A, it's 10 years old. B, it's previously been addressed to essentially everyone's satisfaction. But now, for some reason, this is just stupid. This is just stupid.
Speaking of Glow, we're also going to do the new season of Orange is the New Black. Again, myself and Sean Comer. You're going to get a double shot of shows on August 6th as we discuss Orange is the New Black, and Pat and Jesse Starcher will be discussing Thor: The Reigning. The aforementioned Christopher Robin review, and on the Metal Hammer of Doom, Bleeding Through Love Will Kill Us All, I believe is the name of it. Yeah, Love Will Kill All. So that's all my plugs. Go quick plug your stuff so I can go to bed.
Well, in an effort to keep Mark up later, this last Sunday, we, myself, Jeff Harris, and Pat Mullen got together to review UFC on Fox 30, which was a really good event. I was happy. It was good. There was violence. There were good fights. There were finishes. I mean, you couldn't ask for anything more, except apparently everyone wanted something more because it's like the ratings were terrible, which is just profoundly sad. This is why we get the circus. You bunch of morons. If you don't support the stuff that's actually good, they'll shovel crap at you because you'll keep buying crap. We also previewed UFC 227, which is this coming Saturday. We talked about how much we loved the main event in theory and how much we hate the circumstances around it. I talked about why I can't stand TJ Dillashaw, and it's his face, man. I don't know what it is about his face, but it's his face. I mean, he comes out to the Red Hot Chili Peppers, which does him no favors in my book, but... Sorry,
What is
jokes
your problem
aside,
with the Red Hot Chili Peppers? Jesus Christ.
do you really want me to answer that? Or do
No,
you
I
want to
really don't.
want to go to sleep?
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. 1,000 pardons.
No. So, in all seriousness, we talk about some of the technical aspects of that fight. We talk about who we think will win. Somewhat ironically, my pick comes down to I don't get anything even remotely nice in my life that the universe gives me. So what I want least to happen will happen more often than not. And in this instance, that's more pictures of TJ Dillashaw populating the MMA sphere. So, but was essentially the basis for my prediction there. Because if we're just going by merit and technique and strategy, flip a coin. They're too close and they're both too good for anyone to pretend that they've got some profound insight that either one can exploit. That's not what you get with these two. They're too good. They match up too well, and it hinges too much on very, very small things and very tight decisions that either one will make on the night. So we preview that. This Sunday we'll have a review of UFC 227, so we'll see how much we were right, how much we were wrong, where we were right, where we were wrong, what fights sucked, what fights delivered, so on and so forth. That will actually be the last one for a couple of weeks because there's a significant break from UFC 227 to UFC Fight Night 135. Fight Night 135 isn't until August 25th. So we'll be back on the 5th of August to review this Saturday's event. Then we will be off for the 12th. We'll be back on the 19th. But yeah, but between the 11th, so the 11th and the 18th, I have nothing. I don't know what I'll do with my Saturdays. And then we'll be back on the 19th to preview. So yeah, so we're off the 12th. We'll be back the 19th to preview that event. It's not a good event, but it has a good main event, so we're holding on to that. If something happens to Gaethje versus Vic, I don't know what we'll do. Seriously, the co-main event is Michael Johnson and Andre Fili. And it's all downhill from there. It's a rough one. We acknowledge this. So you can tune in for that. For all things MMA related, you can find that. It is posted Sunday evening immediately after recording it. I don't edit anything. I'd still go live, but Mark hates when I do that because it makes publishing to different platforms a pain in the butt. And Mark hates work, and me.
Are you missing something by going live? I mean, what does it really make that big of a difference to you?
No, but I don't know. That was just kind of one of the things. It's a stupid, arbitrary, self-imposed distinction that I had about it that is just a random personal hang-up. Don't worry about it. I'll get it. 2 more weeks, I'll probably be over it.
Tell you what, since it doesn't really matter that much, I mean, we're talking about, your show on my YouTube page. You go ahead and go live, Binky.
No, it's not just that. I actually looked at it, and the way it has to work through different platforms and some of the auto
I'm saying
promotion that gets done. Really, it's not just genuinely easier for you to have it do that. It actually does publish a lot of as soon as it goes up, it gets published as promotional material across more platforms as well. So I'm not gonna beat on that horse. It's not a big deal.
Okay, so with that being said, a bit of awkward outro.
Yeah.
We'll be back.
We'll be back next week, where you can hear about how much the movie Christopher Robin made me cry and turn into just a giant blubbering mess in the middle of the theater.
We'll tune in next week to see if Robert and Mark find anything to scream about over Christopher Robin. I'm sure it'll be a gas. And on
Mark's
that,
going to come in and say it's not good, and I'm just going to book a ticket to Florida and beat the dog snot out of him over this.
Just going to walk out of my house one day. Not funny. All right, with that.
No, you're going to know I'm coming. I'm not going to. That's not surprise. I'm not going to surprise you. You're going to get updates about how close I am.
Terrific. All right, with that said, I'm playing music here. Thank you for tuning in.
Thanks, everybody.
Damn you, Hollywood. Be well, be safe, and behave.
Started as my first coffee shop, turned into 10. So I switched to the Spark Cash Card from Capital One. I earn unlimited 2% cash back on every business purchase. Like this. That's thousands of dollars going back into my business. What's in your wallet?
Capital One Bank USA, N.A.